Welcome to Bag, this series where I am beating all Game Boy Advance games. Grab your spandex and put on your makeup because today we are playing Fire Pro Wrestling 2, which we all know was released in 2002 and developed by Spike. We all knew that, right? So starting off the game, we have Wrestlers List, the Practice Dojo, Edit, Exhibition, and Iron Man Road. Now if you look in the bottom left corner, you'll see we jumped almost 10 minutes into the future, and that's because I picked the Exhibition mode, and I guess that's not really the point of the game. You're supposed to do the Iron Man mode road mode. Luckily the game was automatically defaulting to easy, so we didn't have to do anything else but easy, but you'll see later that it doesn't really matter. This guy pretty much just says to select your difficulty and then select 2 wrestlers that you want to use to do the Iron Man Road challenge. Man, that's like a tongue twister. So because I had to Google what the point of this game was and that the Iron Man Road challenge was what I was supposed to do, I unfortunately had a little bit of insider information and learned that the Anonymies, if that's how you pronounce it, and the Death Head guys are pretty much the best guys to choose. So I ended up going into this game choosing those 2 guys. This guy then tells us that because we chose easy, we have to do 3 different challenge styles: single, tag, and gruesome. And he says first we'll play 5 single matches, and at the beginning of each match we will select one of our 2 wrestlers to use. Now this is a big spoiler alert. Because of technical issues, I actually never made it past the first 5 single matches. So the actual game starts off with this extremely long cutscene of your characters walking out to the ring. Now I'm going to fast forward this because it legitimately felt like it took 17 hours. So at first I figured this game is probably just a button smasher masher, and you're going to just hit a bunch of buttons and defeat your opponents, and this game will be over in like an hour. Wow, boy was I wrong. Holy was I wrong. So I got my ass freaking handed to me over and over and over again, as you can see here, and I eventually just had to go back to the main menu and go through the tutorial to learn how to play this game, because newsflash, it is not a button masher. This game takes a shit ton of skill. As soon as I entered the practice dojo, that's when I learned that this game has way more to it than you really thought. There are so many moves to learn, and it's not just press this button. They are sometimes pretty advanced. So it starts off pretty easy. You just have to keep your distance from your opponent, and you press B and you do a weak attack. Once you do that 3 times, you move on to medium moves, which is pressing A, and then you move on to heavy moves. And you continue to do the dojo until you get to the end and you learn everything that there is to learn in this game. Sounds easy, right? So I ended up playing for 20 minutes and I just couldn't get some of them to work. So I just took a break and decided to try again the next day. The next day, I still couldn't get stuff to work, so I decided to look at a YouTube video walkthrough on how to play this game. So this is just kind of like a foreshadowing in why I couldn't beat this game, but it's probably not for the reason that you think. So after I finished watching the tutorial, I decided to give it another shot. So you can see in the bottom right corner, it's been 8.5 minutes. So I'm clearly getting better at this game. I'm understanding how to deflect shots, at least somewhat, and not immediately go down. Except the issue now is that when you prolong a fight too much, you both get tired and then you legitimately can't do anything. Also, another thing is each match in this Iron Man mode or Iron Man Road mode is limited to 15 minutes. So if neither of you get a knockout or whatever it's called in 15 minutes, it's a draw. I did, however, throw him out of the ring, which is really cool. I will admit that the animations and everything that this game has to offer are really, really well done. It's just the game itself is very, very frustrating. So as you can see here, like I can barely move because I'm so tired. I mean, I completely understand that this is supposed to be realistic. You're both tired, you can barely punch each other. I get it. And it's cool. It's a cool detail. What I don't understand is that if it prevents me from legitimately doing anything, why doesn't the game just end? Like, the most I can do is deflect his incoming shots, and then I sit there tired and I cannot hit him back. That's why this game is a complete draw, because I'm good enough to deflect most of his shots, but I'm not good enough to then hit him back because I'm too tired. It just, to me, it seems kind of like a design flaw, but I don't know. So we basically just sat here doing this till the rest of the match was over, and then we tied. I then decided to use the other guy, and I played again, and this time things went a lot better actually. So I got really good at this one move, which doesn't really do a lot of damage, but I still was doing pretty consistent damage to him. The one thing that just doesn't really make sense to me is that even though I was doing pretty good, way more damage than to him than he was doing to me, it still didn't really matter. It didn't feel like it was doing much because eventually he pinned me down and almost won despite him getting in almost none of the shots. And even just 6.5 minutes in, the same thing was happening. So I knocked him down here, and then I was too tired to do anything. I couldn't grab him. I couldn't move. When you're doing this like huffing and puffing, you are stuck. You can't move, you can't press any buttons. You're just frozen in that position until the animation is over. You can also do these other moves. They're not quite pinning someone down, but they are like holding them in a position. And if you hold them in a position long enough, slash if their like tiredness is high enough or something, they will give up. However, I only had that happen to work once, which I don't understand. Like, the guy is so tired, he's not even getting up off the ground, yet he won't give up when you're holding him. Yet I'm so tired that I also can't even pin him down. Like, I can't do anything. This is the first level with the best wrestler on easy mode. Eventually I was able to grab this little bitch's freaking toesy woesies and like get him to surrender. But with not that much time to spare, like, I genuinely don't understand this game. And it's only going to get harder from here. Oh yeah, and when you beat someone, you unlock a new wrestler. So I unlocked this new wrestler that I can't pick right now because when you start one of these Iron Man challenges, you're stuck with the two main wrestlers that you picked at the beginning. So I actually can't go back and use that guy yet. This next fight actually only took me 2 tries and was not that hard in comparison to the first one. What I mostly did was put him in this weird chokehold here, and then I tried to pin him down. And I just kept doing that over and over and over and over again until he finally gave up. And that right there is the sweet, sweet sound of victory and unlocking another wrestler. And if you look at the bottom left corner, you'll see 21 minutes have passed since we've moved on to round 3, because this game is ridiculous. So honestly, there's not much reason to show you the entire match because I only use the same moves the whole time. I want to fast forward this though because it's funny. It's just the same thing, us knocking each other over, us being too tired to do anything, and at the last possible second I pull off a win. And this is round 4 of 5 of the easy mode, and this is where our journey ends because, as I said earlier, I was looking at the tutorial on how to play this game because there are things in the dojo that weren't working. Another thing that I've been saying is that I've been using the same moveset pretty much this entire time, which unfortunately isn't going to cut it any longer because these opponents are getting a lot stronger and I have to use different moves against them. Unfortunately, something I learned when I was Googling on how to properly play this game, because I just cannot get any farther. When you play this game on an emulator, which is what I'm doing, so I'm able to capture this game in higher quality, some of the buttons just don't properly work or register. I tried using multiple emulators, multiple controllers, and I just can't get this game to properly detect my controller's inputs. Now, for some reason, it's like specifically this game that just has that issue. I mean, it might be other games in the future, but it's not like an issue with all emulators. It's an issue with this game. And it's really unfortunate because this game requires a lot of very timed, precision button pressing to be able to avoid or do proper moves to defeat your opponent. So I gave this game 2 hours. I played the crap out of it. I Googled all I could. I tried other emulators. It just seems like there's a technical issue that is preventing me from being able to beat this game. Now, maybe if you're really, really good at this game, you'd be able to actually beat it using the beginner moveset. I don't know. But obviously I'm not good at this game, so that's something that I just cannot do. It's a huge shame, and I was thinking about not releasing this and trying to beat it a different way, but then I realized like it's a technical issue that there's not really going to be a way around it other than just recording my Game Boy screen, and that's not really something that I want to do. And I also figured like, yeah, later on this game does get a little bit different, but it's still mostly just the same sort of wrestling, so unfortunately I didn't beat it, but I think you kind of get the idea of what this game's about. Anyway, I hope that you guys are not too mad. I did my absolute best. I mean, I'm sure that's probably going to pop up again in the future with some other type of game. And this is just, unfortunately, our first time seeing this issue. Which brings us into our overall rating. Now, keep in mind, I didn't get to play through the entire game, so take this however you will, but my enjoyability of it was a 1 out of 10. I'm sorry, I really didn't enjoy this game. I already was kind of dreading it when I thought it was a button masher game, and then the fact that it actually required a lot of skills and a lot of very precise button pressing, it's definitely not a game for me. So the controls are a 5 out of 10, and I'm not actually taking any points off for the fact that the emulator was causing issues. To me, it's a 5 out of 10 without that issue. And the reason why is that if you go through the dojo, there are sections where it tells you that you have to press this button while pressing this button and this button while the person is looking away from you to do this type of move. It just gets really confusing. Like, even if the buttons function and they work, it is still a confusing button combination to have to press. And even on the buttons that did work, I also found that they didn't work sometimes because I don't know if it's just the game logic, if it didn't consider the wrestler to be in the proper position to, make that move a reality. I don't know. So it's just kind of right in the middle. The graphics get an 8 out of 10. I thought they were super well done. I thought the animation for every single move was super well done as well. And even the little details of being able to be thrown out of the ring and also continue your fight outside of the ring. I thought they did just a good job overall. To me, the sound effects are ever so slightly better than average. I think they fit the game pretty well, but they were nothing crazy. Like, some of the sound effects for choking someone kind of sounded like wringing out a cloth. So it was a very mixed bag, but it wasn't too bad. And to me, the music was just very average. It didn't make the game any better, but it also didn't make it worse. Like, it wasn't annoying, but it wasn't good. It was just there. It just existed, which actually brings our overall average rating of 5 out of 10. Which brings us to our next game that we are playing, which, by the way, I already played and can confirm works completely, and we actually do beat it. Mucha Lucha Mascaritas of the Lost Code.